What's up, guys? It's your boy Ruben, and had to take a day, had to sit here, and of course, this is for my Cowboys fans. It is time to talk about what happened, where we're going, what are the possibilities. Let's just talk, man. Cowboys, all right. So, as we all know, unfortunately, I was wrong in my prediction in the Cowboys making it to the Super Bowl, and you know I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start, is what I mean. So, we lost to the San Francisco 49ers, a possibility I didn't know was there. But ultimately, I sided with I just think we're the more talented team, which is always been the case for quite some time. But where I'm at myself is I knew coaching would do us in, and some of you guys might say, Ruben, what do you mean? This was probably Mike McCarthy's best game in terms of clock management, and it was probably one of his best games in terms of clock management, with the exception of I don't want to get too technical for you guys, but I still think this game was a product of bad coaching. Ultimately, there's blame to go around. I blame Dak. This is one of the first times I've ever looked at Dak Prescott in a game of this magnitude and felt like he let us down. I blame Mike McCarthy. I blame Kellen Moore. This was an entire organizational breakdown. And, this isn't to take anything away from San Fran. I knew that it was a possibility we'd lose to San Fran. When I mentioned that we would go to the Super Bowl, I ultimately just thought that we'd get by San Fran and then we would see maybe a weakened Buccaneers team. I really wrestled with the meeting of the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and I really thought that was something that was a possibility. And ultimately, we ended up losing in week one. So let's discuss what happened and why coaching, even though this was Mike McCarthy's best uh, clock management game, which has been a theme of the entire season. Actually, is his clock management skills. Because we have 14 damn penalties, and that speaks to the undisciplined nature of this team. I've always maintained we've always had enough talent to make it to the Super Bowl. The talent has never been the issue, with the exception of last year when we had all those injuries, and then we brought trash ass Mike Nolan in to control the defense, and he tried to fit a round peg in a square hole, and it just didn't work. And we ended up with a historically bad defense last year to go with all the injuries. Um, 14 penalties, 8 of which prolonged drives, which means they were like in third down. We just could not get off the field when we needed to get off the field. We lost basically at the coin flip. I didn't catch the game at the coin flip, so I don't know if we're the ones that called and deferred. But this was a game I really wanted us to have the ball first and dictate the pace because I wanted to put the pressure on San Fran and Jimmy G. Once they won the toss and we couldn't get off the field and they drove right downfield and scored, I knew there was a good chance we were in trouble, because I don't like if we make a mistake on offense, then we're playing catch up the rest of the game. And sure enough, they went down, scored, we went 3-and-out, and we went 3-and-out in one of the dumbest fashions. If one of these days I'll do one of these days we'll work out a live stream so you guys can see my actual reactions during the game. But they went and scored. We decided to throw on first down, which I'm fine with throwing on first down. I'm more of a guy that when you start the game off with what your personality is. And our personality should have been to run the ball. They should have ran the ball on first down. But if you're gonna throw, which is fine, and you don't get it, and it's 2nd and 10, why are we running Zeke right up the gut out of shotgun on 2nd down, which put us in 3rd and long? Like it was such bad, like let's try to overthink things. Like sometimes just do what you do instead of trying to catch the team off guard. I'm not a fan of trying to get too cute, and I felt like we tried to get too cute in a couple situations. Needless to say, we ended up down. We let the San Francisco 49ers control the game. Every time we had an opportunity to get off the field, we created another penalty, gave them extra series, and then it just completely unraveled in the fourth quarter. And while I said this was Mike McCarthy's best game clock management wise, it doesn't mean he was perfect, because in the fourth quarter, if it wasn't the fourth quarter, it might have been the end of the third. There was a situation where we're down 16 points, which is 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and we ended up punting. I think don't quote me, but I want to say it was close to the 10-minute mark. We ended up punting. And the reason I didn't agree with that is because while we were like at the 40, which would have gave them the ball on their side of the field, you have to consider the fact that not only do you need 2 touchdowns, you need 2 2 points, which means if I were you, I would factor in there's a chance that we're not going to give both 2 points. So that means this is probably a 3-possession game. So punting there when you have less than 12 minutes to go, right? That means you need to score, you need to stop, you need to score again, you need another stop, and then you need to score again, right? By punting, you're saying we're going to score and we're going to make up the 16 points. Now, ultimately, we're not talking about it because it did end up coming down to, the wire, because he did finally manage the timeouts in a way that we were able to get the ball back and at least have an opportunity at the end of the game. But I thought we surrendered the opportunity to do so. And the only reason we're not talking about it, we surrendered an opportunity at the beginning of the fourth. The only reason we're not talking about it is because Anthony Brown ended up making that interception. Without that interception, we're not even in the game at the end of the game. Just want to put that out there. So that's why we're not talking about his clock management, because it didn't end up coming into fruition. But it should. Now, with that being said, 14 penalties. That's on coaching. And some of the dumbest penalties you guys will have ever seen. I don't think I've ever actually seen a defensive holding on a running play, but we managed to do it twice in the fourth quarter when we had to get off the field. That is coaching. And the problem is we have a good coaching staff, but that comes down to ultimately the head coach, who should be, if you got Kellen Moore, who's the offensive guru, you got Dan Quinn, who's the defensive guru, we even have Bones Fossil, who's a very good special teams coordinator. Your job should be discipline, making sure people understand situations and situational football, and making sure. Let me give you case in point on how you handle penalties. And I don't know how they do it in the NFL, but in high school football, right? You create or cause a penalty, or even if you mess up in practice, just in general, like you don't know the play, you don't know this, you don't know that. A good coach will tell you, hey, everybody's responsible for communicating and understand and making sure that everybody understands what the play is, what the scenario is, what the situation is, right? So if you end up with a penalty, or this guy runs the wrong route, or this and that, high school coaches will make the entire team run. So that means if I'm a wide receiver and I run the wrong route, or I run the wrong play of any kind, or I create a penalty, the whole team had to pay for it, which leads to the whole team being pissed off at you later, which ultimately makes you hold yourself accountable, because you don't want to be the guy that ruins it for the rest of the team. Does this team look like we have a scenario or a situation where guys give a damn about the next guy in that situation? And that's because we have we've produced an environment conducive to these situations. So I say all of that to say, I'm severely disappointed in the Cowboys. This was a trying year. I really think they got to get rid of Mike McCarthy, the coach, if for no other reason than to keep our coordinators. like I said, we have a very good coaching staff. If it were me, what I would do is I would hire Dan Quinn as the head coach. He has prior head coaching experience. He's been to the Super Bowl, and granted, he blew it, but he's been to the Super Bowl. He's experienced the highs and lows. He's been to the Super Bowl and then got fired a few years later. So he understands. He's been there, has the experience. Um, and ultimately was responsible for the resurgence of our defense. And I really don't want our defense to go through another kind of overhaul or have to learn a new scheme. I'd like the continuity. I've always thought this was a 4-3 team. We went back to the 4-3, and not just the 4-3, the Seattle scheme that we were productive in years past. I don't want to start that over. And there's a good chance that Kellen Moore might not land another job. But I'd rather keep Dan Quinn, because keeping the let's be real, okay? The offense, we have a good O-line, we got quarterback, we got receivers, we got running backs. The talent's there. We don't need a genius offensive coordinator to run this offense. And that's why I think ultimately we might have an opportunity to keep Kellen Moore, because while I do appreciate and love Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator, I do not trust him as a head coach. He hasn't experienced any adversity. The kid's only 33. He's only been doing it a few years, and he's been doing it with the best pieces you can have. So I don't want him, especially when we're in a situation where I want to see more discipline. I don't want to see him be the head coach. I'd love to keep him as the OC and keep Dan Quinn as a D coordinator. Maybe we bring Chris Richard back as a defense coordinator. These are just my thoughts, but I don't want to see Mike McCarthy here and we lose both our damn coordinators. That will be a travesty, Jerry, and you need to definitely consider that. All right. Last thing, I want to end this video. I want to talk about Dak a little bit, and I have been a Dak supporter. I've said in the past that when we've had issues, it wasn't Dak's fault. I've been a Dak defender. I thought he deserved his money. And this is the first year that I am a little concerned about Dak Prescott. And I don't get it twisted. I still believe in him as a leader and ultimately as a player, but he wasn't the same after that Patriots game. And I wonder how much of it has to do with the injury. And I actually hope it's just the injury. And the reason I don't wish injury on anybody, but the reason I hope that it's just the injury is that I hope it's something that can heal in the offseason and we can get right next season, with a year removed from the ankle injury and then, months removed after the calf injury. I felt like I saw him hitching a lot, meaning, he didn't trust planting and really firing the ball in. I felt like as a result, it's got him second guessing a lot. And ultimately, we completely lost the deep ball, which is what I covered in the last video. And I know Michael Gallup's not there, but Amari Cooper used to be a deep ball specialist for us. What happened? And I think a lot of it has to do with Dak's not wanting to really have to drive off that leg and get the ball 30, 40, 50 yards down the field. And he already wasn't the most elite quarterback in terms of arm talent. He has to, throw. Like, he has to really throw from his core in order to get things downfield. He can't just flick the ball down there. What set Dak apart was, I've always felt like Dak was the kind of guy that had ice in his veins at the end of the game, and his mobility. Now, his mobility has been compromised since the ankle injury, and then the calf injury couldn't have helped. I'm just worried. This will be, I think, a make or break year on whether, we can do this with Dak. I think everybody needs to be on notice this year, and we'll see what happens. But Mike McCarthy's got to go. We made so many mistakes. Penalties, the stupid ass punt return, not the punt, the punt, fake punt, excuse me, where we converted the first down, but we kept them on field. Like, we wasted 45 seconds there. That was dumb. It's just a lot, guys. But let me know your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's keep it going. And hopefully we can talk about how we fix this team. All right, y'all. Peace.